Welcome to the Untold Tales audio anthologies. Written by Matilda Scotney and narrated by Melissa Del Toro Schaffner. Water's Edge.
Hello, little fishies.
12-year-old Pyotr stopped. That sound again. He'd heard it several times in recent weeks. Definitely a voice, always with the same greeting to the fishes in the lake. The voice had lots to say, and he understood many of the words, but others were strangely formed and unfamiliar. The voice's owner sounded young. Pyotr felt quite sure it belonged to a small girl who uttered words that sounded old and dusty. He couldn't explain it, but he also couldn't explain how he could hear any voice at all, because no other children lived nearby. Pyotr had not seen another person save his mother in 4 years, and because the voice intrigued him, he made every excuse to go to the lake to see if he could discover where the voice came from. The breeze, always gentle here at the shallowest part of the lake, was not strong enough to carry sounds from distant places. So Pyotr, as any young boy who likes adventure would do, decided he must investigate. He threw a furtive glance behind him as he waded into the lake. He knew his mother would disapprove, and went as far as he dared. Parting the reeds, he felt a little disappointed to find the little girl was not hiding there. So he climbed to the top of one of the oak trees to gain a better scope of the surroundings. Shielding his eyes from the sun, he scanned the water's edge and squinted his eyes as hard as he could so he might see the island in the middle of the lake. But he didn't see anyone, only chirping cicadas and lively little moths. After that day, and although he'd often looked, he never found the source of the voice, although he made it an almost daily task to look and listen. He wondered if his isolation might be playing tricks with his mind, because Pyotr and his mother had no neighbors, never had visitors, and the only other person they spoke to was Pyotr's father, far above them, orbiting the world in the sky cathedral, where Pyotr would be now if his body had not become so sick. He told his mother about the voice, and she always listened kindly, but privately she put it down to fancy and to the disease that invaded his body. He told her the girl never answered his hello back, just carried on her happy chatter to the fishes. Surely, he asked, if there were another child, why would she not respond? As the months passed, Pyotr stopped looking for the voice, but one day, just as he was about to return home from fishing, he heard it again. He couldn't delay because Mother had called him home. So he said a simple, hello, not believing for a moment the girl would hear him. But it was that day, even though there was no answer, he sensed the single word greeting finally reached her. I heard the girl again today, Mother, Pyotr said. Pyotr's mother didn't want to raise his hopes. She knew how distant this place was from any other children, and his sickness meant he couldn't socialize anyway. It's probably something on the other side of the lake, she said. A wild animal, perhaps. You know how sound travels down here in the basin. Wild animals don't speak, Mother, Pyotr said wisely, refusing to accept his mother's dismissal. Besides, she sounds too close, and she has long conversations with the fish. I can't make out all her words, but there are some I recognize. His mother would not take from him any moment that had brought him happiness. So she also did not want him to go again into the lake searching for an imaginary girl, or climbing those ancient oak trees where he might fall from a great height. She did not want to hasten his death. The mind plays tricks when we feel lonely, Pyotr, she said kindly, and you know that your brain has its challenges. Perhaps these are memories from someone you knew at home. Pyotr knew his diseased brain had let his family down. It was rare to contract this infection. Pyotr was only one of a handful, since records were kept. But the law was clear. Anyone, child or adult with a terminal disease, must live on Earth as nature takes its course. Pyotr was too young to fend for his father until the disease claimed him. With so little known and its rarity giving little reason for research, it was impossible to predict the course. But Pyotr knew that when it was all over, his mother would return to the sky cathedral, and Pyotr would remain here, to sleep beneath the grass and flowers. Pyotr liked Earth, Perhaps it would be a peaceful place to rest.
Hello, little fishies.
Pyotr hesitated and held his fishing beams very still. "Hello?" he said, then waited. "Hello?" he said again. "I can hear you, but I can't see you."
I heard you the other day,
the little girl's voice answered on the breeze.
Are you hiding? You should show yourself, because I don't like playing hide and seek. It makes me afraid.
So Pyotr realized she couldn't see him either. "No, please don't be afraid," he said quickly. "I've heard you saying hello to the fish for a long time, but I don't know where you are."
I'm here, near the lake. Are you a fish that can speak? Are you a ghost?
Pyotr snorted a laugh. "Of course not. What nonsense. Fish can't speak. I come to the lake every few days, and I hear you sometimes. And I am not a ghost."
I've never seen you.
The little girl's voice came back.
Where do you live? I'm staying with Grandmama up at the big house. You pass it on the way to the village, but I'm not allowed to play with the children. Grandmama says they're not in our class. Do you know what that means? I don't. Are you from the village? If you are, we shouldn't be speaking to each other. Grandmama will be angry.
I don't know what any of that means, and the only house near the lake is the one I live in with my mother. I wouldn't say it's big. Most people live in sky cathedrals, but I got sick, so Mother and I were sent away.
Sky cathedrals? What are they?
Places in the sky where people live so the Earth can recover from pollution and the damage mankind did to it over the centuries. The planet got better, but people still live above the world to make sure they don't make the same mistakes. They come here for visits and to care for the environment.
What's pollution?
It's a bad thing. It kills plants and grass and people, Pyotr said. But it's people who cause it.
Do they have it on your sky cathedrals?
No, people are more sensible now.
Does your father live here too?
No, only my mother. My father wasn't allowed to come.
That's sad. My parents died when their ship sank.
A ship? A sailing ship? Pyotr responded to such a romantic notion as any young boy might. Offering condolences about her parents didn't enter his head. Instead, it conjured up images of a sunken hulk laden with treasure. He'd heard stories of pirates and read of the old myths and legends. He loved those stories because no ships sailed the seas now.
I don't think it had sails,
the girl was saying.
I think it had engines.
Engines? Pyotr said. Not as exciting as sails. Yes, I understand. Where did it sink?
The Atlantic Ocean.
I don't know that name. Is it a big ocean? Earth has lots of big oceans.
I think so. One of the biggest? I lived with my aunt for a while, but she kept leaving me with the nanny, so now I'm here with Grandmama. She got me a pony, his name is Pippin, and I ride him every day. Grandmama is sending me away to school soon.
Pyotr studied extinct species with his mother. Ponies, equines, gone now since the cataclysmic deterioration of society, amongst many other animals. It always made him sad. The girl didn't know how lucky she was to have Pippin. We have school on the sky cathedrals, he said. I only have what my mother teaches me, but she is very clever. She knows about the Earth and the stars. Pyotr sensed suddenly that the girl was not listening. He waited before offering any more information about his mother. Are you there? The girl's voice once more floated on the air.
I have to go. Grandmama is calling. I'm Charlotte. How do you do? What is your name?
Pyotr, and I do very well, he smiled.
I hope we can talk again, Pyotr, even if I can't see you.
And Pyotr knew, for the exchange was not his imagination. You look lost in thought, his mother said when he arrived home. I'm sorry, Mother. The girl spoke to me. I know you think she only exists in my head, but we had a real conversation. She said she lived in a big house near the lake. I don't understand. There's no one here but us. The mother brushed back her son's silky hair. How she loved him. Her only child. How long would they have? She would not deny him this. Did you only catch a friend today, or did you catch a fish for dinner? Pyotr smiled, the happiest smile his mother had seen in a long time. I guess I forgot, Mother. Sorry.
Hello, little fishies.
Pyotr smiled. It had been almost 2 years since that first conversation. At 14, his sickness had not only yet to claim him, but it had also made no further mark on his life, save that he remained isolated on Earth. He and his mother, regular communication with his father in the Sky Cathedral, and now his friend Charlotte had returned. I told you before, I don't think fishes can talk, he laughed.
Hello, Pyotr,
came the delighted reply.
I wondered if you would be here today.
I'm here a lot, and I always wonder about you. It's been a long time since we spoke.
What?
The girl laughed.
It has not. Only Thursday last. 5 days.
Pyotr shook his head. You speak strangely, Charlotte. Thursday? What is Thursday? By my calculation, it has been 2 years. Silence. He could almost hear her thinking. Did she not believe him? Charlotte?
2 years?
She said after a moment.
You understand year, but you don't understand Thursday?
I think there is little to understand about our situation, but I am glad you're here.
Me too, even though I don't know what is happening. Remember when I thought you were a ghost? My uncle told me that we will send a rocket to the moon someday. I thought about it. Are you on the moon and speaking to me with a megaphone?
Pyotr chuckled. I'm on Earth, although I have been to the moon and other planets. That silence again. How he wished he could see her. Charlotte, am I scaring you?
No, not anymore, but I don't understand. We don't have any vehicles that can travel to other planets. We have cars that move along the ground, and we have aeroplanes. They're going to use them to fight the war.
Aeroplanes? Pyotr sifted through his memory. Same as sailing ships, he had only seen sketched portrayals. All true images and artifacts were lost through war and neglect. I have seen images, he said. They're an ancient invention, prehistoric, from our distant history. Charlotte made her tinkling little girl giggle.
Are you playing a game? My uncle puffs out his chest and says, Charlotte, my girl, this is the 20th century. It's 1914. We are in the age of machines.
Charlotte put on a gruff pretend uncle voice, which made Pyotr laugh and ponder. 1914. He shook his head. It must be a year, a designation in time, and that realization made him choose his next words wisely. His mother said Charlotte was imagination, but how could he imagine a year he didn't know? Asking her age might help unravel the conundrum. How old are you, Charlotte? I'm 14.
10 last birthday, and Grandmama just realized I'm here at the lake. She's calling. If I don't go, I'll likely not get to my 11th.
Mother, what do you know of history, of time periods? I know little, Pyotr. Is there anything in particular? What does 20th century mean? Do you know what 1914 is? 20th century is an ancient calendar measurement, Pyotr. A century represented a term measured in 100-year cycles. 1914 would have been a year in that century. 20th century years were prefixed with the number 19. Why do you ask? The girl said she lived in the 20th century. I see, said his mother. She visited again? Pyotr nodded, waiting for his mother to challenge him, but when it came, it was only mild and not unkind. Well, the 20th century happened a long time ago, Pyotr, she said. So clearly that's not possible. Could she be tricking you? Pyotr tried not to let his feelings show, but he was not practiced in hiding emotions, and his mother knew him so well. Of course, she did not believe the girl truly existed, but recognizing his disappointment, she sat beside him and drew him close. He had grown so tall it was almost possible to believe his illness had somehow miraculously cured itself. But she knew that was as much her fantasy as Pyotr's was about gaining a friend. She decided then, in light of the awful truth that their time together would be so limited, she would not bear him to have even a moment's unhappiness beyond what she couldn't help. If he believed there was a girl, then she would not question. She kissed his soft hair. But even though I am the cleverest person you know, I can't explain everything, so I will calculate. If I go by Earth's seasonal cycles, translate them into years, and this would only be Earth years, Pyotr, other planets are different, we are living in what would be called the 31st century. So, more than a millennia after your friend.
Hello, little fishies.
Charlotte, I thought you'd forgotten all about me.
Pyotr, no, I thought about you every day. Grandmama and I went to stay at her country house during the war, and I went to school. I hated it. I was so unhappy. I was the only girl with no parents. We only got back today, and I came straight here. Are you standing at the edge of our lake?
Yes, where I always stand. You sound different, Charlotte. Older. I wondered where you were because I hadn't heard you talk to the fish in a while. I missed you.
I missed you too. It's been 6 years, so I'm 16 now. Grown up.
Pyotr had survived far beyond the expected deadline for someone with his condition. How had 6 years passed in her time but not in his? The very first time they spoke, he was 12. The next time he was 14 and she was 10. Now she was 16 and he was 17, only 1 year older than her. How did that work? It doesn't seem so long for me, he said. Only 3 years. We seem to get very muddled about time. Shall we describe our surroundings? Tell me about the island in the middle of the lake. Charlotte's new young lady voice rang out, immediately enthused about the game.
There are trees and bushes on the island, and in the distance, beautiful green hills.
She ended her breathless description with a sigh.
The air is so fresh, Pyotr. None of that polluting stuff you told me about. And, of course, there are ducks and swans. Do you see the same things?
Near enough. The island has trees, and there are green hills in the distance. Yes, the air is fresh and clean, but I don't know what a duck or a swan is.
They're water birds, silly. Perhaps they don't have water birds in heaven.
Heaven? I'm sorry, do you mean the heavens where stars and planets reside?
Sort of. It's where people's spirits go when they die.
But I'm not dead.
Then why can't I see you? I decided long ago you must be dead, but then I wondered why your spirit didn't visit me at school when I was sad.
I don't know why we can't see each other, but I have an idea. Throw a stone into the water and we'll see if it makes a ripple. He sensed Charlotte's hesitation. I'm not meant to go to the water's edge, Pyotr. I fell once and Grandmama is afraid. Remember, she lost my mother in the ocean and she worries when I'm around water. Don't lean right over, just toss the stone in and make a ripple. Pyotr narrowed his eyes to make sure he didn't miss any movement. The water splashed, dipped, and moved outward in increasing circles. I saw it! He yelled, practically jumping up and down. I saw it! It rippled! Wait, keep watch. I'm going to do it now. Pyotr looked around for a stone, but in his excitement couldn't see one, so he knelt on the bank and tickled the water with his fingers, desperate for Charlotte's reaction. He didn't have to wait long.
Pyotr, I saw the ripple! I'm going to lie down on the water's edge so I don't fall. Let's put our hands in the water at the same time. If I can touch you, we might be able to see each other.
Lady Grimshaw, so kind of you to include me this afternoon. I scarcely ventured from my London house during the war, and now I feel blessed to be back in the countryside and amongst nature. I do understand, Mrs. Scarsdale. I myself do not often venture out or have many visitors these days, but I think a few buttered scones and a nice pot of Earl Grey and one's newest friend is a pleasant way to spend an afternoon. Indeed, Lady Grimshaw, your house is splendid. These furnishings are absolutely divine. Such cleverly designed fabrics. From Paris. And who is the subject of that most exquisite portrait above the fireplace? My granddaughter. Charlotte. Enchanting. Is she at finishing school? We lost dear Charlotte a few years after the war. She lived with me after her parents perished on the Titanic. Lady Grimshaw, I'm so dreadfully sorry. As we all are. We believe Charlotte drowned in the lake, but her body was never found. Had it been, I do not believe I could bear to stay here. On the day she went missing, the gardeners saw her speaking to a young man near the water's edge, presumably a boy from the village. But we could not trace him to learn of his involvement. A Scotland Yard sent their best detectives, including specialist divers, to search the underwater. We miss her dreadfully. The mother watched the blueness of the world below through sad eyes and gently lifted her hand to touch the viewport window, as if the gesture would reach out and touch her son, gone these many months. Each morning she looked out as the world turned to show her where she and her son had lived a bittersweet life until he left her for the depths of the lake. Her husband joined her. He understood, but had longer to come to terms, as he was left here while his wife cared for their son during those years of exile. He knew Pyotr lived on borrowed time, and that, in the end, what happened was not his mother's fault. But he couldn't ease her regret. From the beginning, her son claimed to hear a girl's voice at the lake, but she didn't take him seriously. How could she? The isolation was deliberate. Although Pyotr's disease was rare, certain circumstances allowed for cross-infection, and the authorities took every precaution. Pyotr knew that, but still insisted he had met or heard another child. Of course, it was possible the many tumors in his brain might have caused auditory hallucinations. Even so, to be sure, the mother searched for the girl but never found any evidence of the existence of another person in the area. Not until the day her son went missing. She seldom went to the window that overlooked the lake, but that day she did. Instinct? She could not be sure, but she could say with certainty that she saw him lying on the grass, speaking with a girl. She closed her eyes. The melancholy of that day was always so close. The unbearable loss. She had hurried out of the house, not sure if she should warn the girl of the dangers of being so close to Pyotr, or perhaps learn the visitor's origins. But by the time she got to the lake, neither the girl nor Pyotr was anywhere to be found. The husband knew his wife often went over the scenario, trying to understand how their son could be lost in the lake. Even an extensive search failed to discover any signs of a struggle or his body. Had they been able to bury Pyotr, perhaps his wife would have found solace and closure. He loved Pyotr too, but now all he had for his wife was the comfort of his arms. He held her close. We were lucky to have him for as long as we did, he soothed. If there was a girl, or even if there wasn't, and your mind played a trick, we have to believe those last moments were happy ones for him. The mother rested her head on her husband's shoulder and returned her gaze to the viewport. He told me the girl lived in the 20th century. What? The husband looked down, expecting some kind of out-of-place humor, and he smiled until he saw his wife was in earnest. She had never mentioned this. That's what the girl told him, she said. Do you think time had a purpose for them both? The husband didn't know. He too wanted to hold on to his son's memory. But time travel? In the 20th century, sky cathedrals would have been dismissed as fantasy. So how could he dismiss it? Perhaps something else was at play that day. Perhaps those two lonely children shared a destiny. Life would move on, but Pyotr and his mysterious friend would linger forever in their memory, even while the truth remained elusive, an enigma that would never fade. Their story would be of two young souls who slipped into the anonymity of time, leaving the world behind, perhaps to find their destiny in some other, happier place. We love our listeners, fans, patrons, and supporters. Thank you for listening and have a wonderful day.